Aloha, Sandra Razielli here. One of those days where 1 minute it's raining, 1 minute it's sunny. So you might see some different colors in this video, but that's what happens when you go for a walk, right? And today I'm going to show you some things to help prepare you for walking. That's why I've got my jeans on, my shoes, ready to go for a walk. These are all things that you can do as a one-off, just do one of these, or you can put them all together as a warm-up to go walking. So first thing, stretch your spine, lengthen the spine, invigorates the body, helps us be more present. So find a ledge, a chair, a friend. Go ahead and hold on. Take a moment, feel your feet grounding down, spine lengthening up. And again, feet rooting down, spine lengthening up. And then walk your feet backwards. As you do that, bend your knees a little bit. Reach your sit bones back, 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 back. And then very slowly move towards straightening your legs. As you do that, keep your spine stable, keep the rib cage stable. If you come to a point where you feel you have to straighten, and you round your spine to straighten your legs, just stop. So you don't want the spine to shift at all. Now I'm feeling like I might want to take my legs a little further back, so I'm going to come up a little, take my legs a little further back. Yeah, it's going to give me a little bit different angle. You can go ahead and then encourage your sit bones to lift without shifting the mid-spine. That's to get a little bit more of a lumbar curve. And then again, move towards straightening the legs. I can feel my right leg a little tighter than my left. I'm going slow. Good. And then to come up, take a step forward. Feel how just doing one thing, just creating a length in the spine, can help prepare you for a little more invigorating walk. All right, so go ahead, roll your shoulders up and around a few times. Really get into the shoulder blades, because you are going to be swinging your arms while you walk. So take your shoulder blades up, and then take a moment, squeeze them back, and then bring them on down. One more time, take them up. So strong squeeze from the shoulder blades, not moving the hands or arms, but squeezing from the shoulder blades. And then squeeze them down, and release. Okay, so stretching the spine, great thing to do before a walk. And probably figured out calf stretches. So something you can do during a walk or before. So when you're going for a walk, find a ledge or whatever you have. I'm going to use my half roller because that's what I got. So we're going to stand, starting mountain pose, right? Hips over heels, lower ribs above the hip points. Take your chin back at the length in the back of your neck. And as you maintain those alignment points, take your foot to the lift. And then find a place where you can still maintain those alignment points and feel a stretch in the calf. So no knee bending right now, just spine nice and long. If you find that you're not feeling the stretch, take your foot a little more forward. But be careful not to take your whole weight forward. That's a different stretch. We really want to keep the hips over the heels for today, for this one. And then release. And second side. So one of the reasons why calf stretching, there are many reasons, but one of the reasons why calf stretching is really good for walking is that when we step, when we have more length in the calf, we actually can step better because there's more clearance for the other leg to come through. You don't have to rely on the bend of your knees as much or the flexion of your ankles quite as much. So second side, hips over heels. I have to pay attention. I often tend to anterior rotate my pelvis a little much. I tend to round it a little too much, so I have to find my pubic bone, hip bone, lower rib alignment. Breathing. I know when I feel something, sometimes I feel in my belly, the lengthening and the engagement necessary. Then I know I've got the right position. So I really recommend doing calf stretches. Like if you're going on a long walk, stop every so often and do a little bit of calf stretching. Just find a rock or whatever. Okay, so when you're done, back to mountain pose. I do feel a little taller. So another good thing to do preparing for a walk is to open up your joints. And especially the joints in the feet, the ankles, give information to the brain that give information to the muscles to help them engage and become more active as you walk. And I think I don't really need a map for this. You don't need a map for this either. It's the beauty of this practice today. You don't need anything except your body and a place to move. So we're going to start by doing some ankle tilts. And I want to just say in advance, if you had ankle issues, go slow with this. And you might find that there's some of these tilts that are really good for you and others that don't feel so good. So skip those. You don't have to do them all. You might have like one ankle that you've sprained a number of times that you might not want to tilt in a certain direction. So take your time with that. This is just a general idea of really getting the ankles kind of moving, get those joints moving. So we're going to start by taking your left foot backwards and then focusing on the right ankle. Just an outer tilt. And when I'm tilting the ankle, I'm trying not to move my leg too much. I'm really trying to isolate the movement of the ankle. Your leg might move a little bit. That's okay. Then bring your left foot a little wider and tilt inwards. Again, just getting some of those joints to move. Now take your left leg back again. Externally rotate your right leg and tilt the outer part of the ankle. And then internally rotate the leg and still tilt the outer part of the ankle. We're just doing it at a little bit different angle. Okay, then bring the foot forward. Stand on both feet. Find mountain pose. One ankle's been tilted, the other not. So let's do the second side. Take your right foot back. Outer tilts. Just sideways, lateral. Take the right foot off to the right a little more. The inner tilt. Right foot comes back. Externally rotate your leg. Tilt it out. Internally rotate the leg again. Back to center. Stand on both feet. Mountain pose. So we've done a spine stretch, we've done a calf stretch, we've done ankle tilts. If that's all you have time for, go for a walk. Otherwise, top of the foot is a great place to do it. It's a little trickier in shoes, but you can still do it in shoes, where you stand, again, mountain pose, take one foot back, and so the top of the foot comes on the floor or the ground, and sometimes that can be enough, just holding it there, breathing. Or, for a little more intensity, bend and straighten the opposite knee. Okay, and release. Take a moment. Second side. Left foot back. Open up the top of the foot. Bend and straighten the knee. And release. All right, so just like we did ankle tilts in different directions, you can do the same with this top of the foot stretch, which is actually good because it helps activate different muscles. So take your right foot back again, tilt it to the outside so you can see I'm tilting my ankle outward to get a little stretch on the outer side, which actually helps activate the glutes a little bit. Come up and down. And then I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to tilt my ankle inward and go up and down. And then switch sides. So I'll stay facing back again. Take your left foot back, tilt the ankle out, come up and down. And then tilt the ankle in a little, up and down. And then back to center. Let's come back to the arms or shoulders. Take your shoulders up. squeeze back, really squeeze, 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 and then down, squeeze, and back to neutral. All right, so let's do one more thing for the ankles. I really like these closed chain, which means it's connected. Closed chain ankle circles. So take your right foot forward and lift your heel as high as it will go with the ball of your foot on the ground. So you open up the front of the ankle and then lower it. So open up the front of the ankle and lower your heel while keeping the ball of the foot on the ground. And then second side. So you don't have to do a lot of these, just lifting, opening the front of the ankle, lowering the heel. So I'm keeping my knee bent, which is if I'm not lowering my heel all the way to the ground. My knee stays bent. And then let's go a little sideways. So take your right foot forward, take your ankle to the right, lateral, and a little to the left. I find when I do this, sometimes I feel it up into my shin bone. So there's often like an air spot or two that you tend to get a little tighter in the legs. Side to side, second side. All right, and then back to the first side, circles. So front of the ankle, lateral, which is out to the side, back, and inside medial. And then bring it into a circle. Again, encourage the ankle to be moving, the leg not to be moving as much. And then switch directions. Okay, all right. And second side. Forward, lateral, back, and medial. Forward, lateral, back, medial, and circle. And switch directions. This can actually be very tiring if you're not used to moving your ankles a lot in these directions. So be careful just to do a little bit. I think that's enough for me for now. I definitely feel my ankles a lot more awake, which means my hips are actually going to have a little more mobility. So let's do a few hip circles, because how we move our hips, especially when we do these straight-legged circles, right? My ankles are moving as well. So when we're walking, moving our legs, but everything's all connected, you know that. So a few hip circles, keeping your legs straight. And then switch directions. Come back to center, find mountain pose. Feet grounding, check your hips over your heels. So before I go for a walk, I like to wake up my side glutes a little bit. Now some of you can do this standing on a ledge, but we're saying that we're low on props today, so I will just do a simple hip list. Actually, first we'll just balance on one leg. So shift your weight onto the left leg, lift the right leg a little, and notice if you're sinking, keep your hand on that left hip, lift up a little bit, hold for a moment. And then release. Same thing on the other side. Bend the left knee. Give yourself a little touch on that right side. Engage. Lift up. Breathe. And then release. Little shake, little shimmy. Now you can do that again, or do, it's a little more challenging, a hip list, is, especially since we're just doing it on the flat surface, is shift your weight onto the left leg, bend the right knee, and then move the right hip down to the left hip down to move the right hip up and back to neutral. So again, this is engaging the gluteus medius, which is really important for walking. It's the part of the body we actually don't use a lot when we walk. Lying down. And then second side. So bend the left knee, take the right hip down to lift the left hip up. after doing that, it's nice to do a few more hip circles around. And then other direction. Okay, back to mountain pose. Go ahead and interlace your fingers. Reach your palms forward. Take your arms up to the first stopping point. Just hold a moment there, and then lift your shoulder blades. Take the arms up to the second stopping point. Nice reach and stretch. If it's really hard to hold on, you can always grab a branch or a strap, or just take your arms a little wider apart. That's fine too. But right now, we're just focusing on getting some reach and stretch and breath into that space. Release your fingers, palms face each other. Reach up through the pinky fingers. And then bend your elbows, bring your palms together. As you bring your palms together, press them in towards each other to access the shoulder blades a little bit more. Breathing. Release your arms. Let's do another set of those shoulder circles. So up, squeeze back, squeeze down, release, up, squeeze back, squeeze down, release, and circle. So sometimes when I go on a longer walk or even a shorter one, I feel it in my hands get a little tired. And I think that's to do with my joint connections all the way through, especially from the wrist into the hand. So a few wrist circles. I'll come a little closer. So for wrist circles, we're going to start by taking the wrist up and down, up and down, up and down, and then a little side to side. Trying to move a little more from the arm than from the hand. This is pretty hard though. And then full circle. One direction, and then switch directions. I'd let that go. And second side. Up and down, up and down, up and down, and a little side to side. So it's this action of the forearm moves one way and forearm moves the other way. And then circle. And other direction. Good, and then wiggle your fingers a little bit. Roll your shoulders. Let's do a little swinging with the arms. Just back and forth. So when you go walking, I highly recommend swinging your arms and focusing on the back swing. So let's just try that for a moment. I'll show you what I mean. Is that you're not trying to reach forward. Actually, the back swing is what propels you forward. So let's just take your right arm out in front and swing it back and let it go. Swing it back and let it go. Swing it back and let it go. Same thing, second side. Swing back, let it go. Swing back. You notice how it just automatically comes back. That's a reflex we have. When you swing it back, it's going to come forward. So it's actually harder to do standing in a way because your body wants to walk. Like I just want to keep walking, but then I'll knock over the camera. So let's start from behind. So just a little bit of play with the swing. Good. And then release that. Just a couple more things before I get you ready before you're walking. The next thing, if you have some knee issues, I'm going to suggest you be careful with it. But I find it really useful for getting movement all along the spine. So you're going to start by just swinging a little side to side. This brings in that ankle mobility. So the important thing really for the knees is that you don't keep your feet on the floor. I'm just swinging side to side. As I do that, I'm lifting one heel at a time off the floor. And then I start making it a little bigger. I let my arms just flap around. You might even take your arms a little higher and let them, whoops, sorry, I think I just bumped the microphone. You can let them kind of hit along your upper body, swinging, and then you can bring your head into it. I'm going to keep my arms low because of the microphone, but you could take your arms a little higher. And then begin to wind down. Come back to center, roll your shoulders. One more thing, this is to get your brain going, and that's my new fun thing to do, is stand with your feet a little wider, and then bend your right leg behind your back, place it down, bend your left leg behind your back, place it down. Bend your right leg behind your back, down, left leg behind your back, down. Now, to add to that, take your hand to the foot. So opposite hand to foot. So when the right leg goes, the left hand touches it. And going back and forth. This just gives you a little, get invigorated to go for the walk. You might take your arms up a little higher. Good way to get you going. And then let it go. Maybe you're ready to go for a walk. Maybe, like me, I feel like I'm going to do one more spine stretch. So one more lengthen the spine, hands on the rail, walk back. Find that spot where you get the length in the spine. Maybe move towards extending your legs. And then take a step forward. Come on up. So, like I said before, you could just do one of those things or combine them all into this little routine, like the routine I just did, or combine your own, putting them together. You may notice we did not do any classic hamstring stretches. You know, they're an okay thing to do, but actually a lot of the movements we did in the joints were meant to give information to the hamstrings to let them release a little bit. I think it's many of us, we actually don't use the joints in the feet enough. Our calves are tight. Our hips and glutes are not working, so that's why I focused on those things today, not just a hamstring stretch, although, you know, you can always do hamstring stretches. They feel good too. So I hope you have many, many walks, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Razi Yoga from my lanai. Aloha.